Welcome to Swolehammer. Even though we love the frantic action of Warcry and the skirmish gameplay of Kill Team, there's something to be said about fielding a big army. Hence why I started Starting Sigmar. For whoever is new to the channel or series, the mission of these videos are to help new players make a fun and efficient army from a specific faction, rounding out to a 1,000-point list, which is the lowest tier of competitive play. We also want to make it easy to acquire these items and enjoyable to hobby with. The criteria are as follows. We avoid making lists with repeat models. Models need to be easily accessible either from a Games Workshop store or Amazon. I like to support local, but sometimes prices can't be beat online. All models suggested are in plastic, and we only focus on armies with the current edition's battle tomes. We're in the 3rd edition of Age of Sigmar, otherwise these videos would go out of date quicker. So join me as we reclaim the mortal realms with the Cities of Sigmar. So why play Cities of Sigmar? Do you like the idea of being the normal people trying to survive in a world full of monsters, demons, and squigs? Then you've stopped in the right place, because the Cities of Sigmar are for you. Cities of Sigmar used to be a mashup of the old factions held over from Warhammer Fantasy, without a real place. Now the new battle tome has cut the factions down to just 3: Durden, Dark Elves, and Humans. While the Durden and Dark Elf models certainly have charm and flavorful rules, the extensive range refresh for the human models are incredible, and thus where the majority of the tome's focus lies. Gameplay wise, you can go in many directions with Cities of Sigmar: magic heavy, horde, cavalry-centric, gunline, and much more. Another highlight for players with the new cities rules are the orders, akin to 40k's Astra Militarum, where your leaders hand out reactive buffs to your units. A lot of the synergies are specific to one of the 3 races, but it seems like mixing and matching units will be highly potent as well. So if you want one of the most flavorful Age of Sigmar armies both in the fluff and on the tabletop, join a free city and take up a banner in the name of Sigmar, because the Cities of Sigmar need you. Now, units to look out for. And starting off, we have Pontiff Zenestra, one of the big centerpiece models in the new range of humans. But older models have value as well, with the Free Guild Marshal on Griffin, also known as the Karl Franz model, and the Steam Tank. These are some of my favorite human models in the battle tome, and I think that they will definitely have play in a majority of your armies, whether they are just good on their own or a good build around unit. Since the Durden range is tiny and we're going to go over most of it in the buy list, let's go over to the Dark Elves with the Sorceress and the Dreadlord on Black Dragon models. The Sorceress seems like a key piece in any Dark Elf-centered Cities of Sigmar army. I personally am running 2 of them in my list. Well, the Dreadlord on Black Dragon is an all-round beater. Just a preface for anyone new to Starting Sigmar or Age of Sigmar in general, a lot of the stock is kind of limited at times, especially when a new battle tome comes out. And while I try to focus on products that are easily accessible, in this case it's hard to avoid. So don't be afraid to go to Games Workshop and order them from them directly, eBay, or other places like your LGS. There are tons of reputable sellers who have these products lying around. Now on to the buy list. And for this Starting Sigmar, we're doing 3 different lists for your pleasure. On the human side, it's the Cities of Sigmar box. Hardly a surprise, I know. And if you want to get into this army with the new models as soon as possible, as of this video, all that's out is this box. So I just say buy the box again. But after looking at the battle tome and seeing what I would personally want to play, I'd include Talia Vedra, the new Manticore centerpiece model, and the Free Guild Command Corps. This gives you a really good human backbone for your Cities of Sigmar army, and who doesn't love a magnificent centerpiece like Talia? Since as of the release of this video, we don't know their prices, so this is just an estimate, but we're going to assume that with all this stuff together, it'd be almost $400. And I want you to remember, with these new models, this is not nearly the only way to play. There's so many different ways to play humans in Cities of Sigmar. This is just something I would suggest. Now onto a Durden focused list, and we're starting with the Greywater Fastness Start Collecting box. And onto the recently released Regiment of Renown box, Norgrim's Rune Throng, and then another box of Ironbreakers. The MSRP is up there for these boxes, but I would not personally settle for the MSRP for the Start Collecting or the Regiment of Renown. A lot of these boxes have kind of sat around for a while, and a lot of LGSs have discounts for them. And the last list is Dark Elf focused, where we're going to buy the Anvil Guard Start Collecting twice. A rule I try not to break with this series, but it just is too good not to do. And then buy a Doomfire Warlocks box because it can be alternatively built into the Dark Riders, which are Dark Elves for Cities of Sigmar. Again, like the Duradin box, a lot of local game stores will have discounts, and you should be able to get the Anvil Guard Start Collecting for less than its MSRP. Now on to the lists themselves, and we have the human list to start off with. We're taking the Cities of Sigmar box, which has the Alchemite Warforger, the Free Guild Marshal and Relic Envoy, the Free Guild Cavaliers, and 20 Free Guild Steelhelms, even though we're only using 10 of them for this list. If you wanted to get rid of the Free Guild Command Corps purchase and just go for more Steelhelms, you totally can. You just be at a 100-point deficit. As for the list function, we're doing Hammerhall Aksha as a sub-faction. This is a good generalist sub-faction for just a strong human backbone army. You'll be giving out extra commands with your sub-faction ability and Talia. Talia will be a beatstick. The Warforger will buff your units while also giving spells to hand out. The Command Corps will support the bulk of your army, as your Steelhelms will try to sit on objectives and kind of clog up the board. I can't emphasize enough that there are so many ways to play in Cities of Sigmar. This is just literally one beginner route for you guys. Now onto a Duradin focused list. And this buy list number 2, we're using Greywater Fastness, which is ranged focus, which might be strange because we only have 2 units of Iron Drakes and the Gyro Bomber. But all these ranged units will be protected by a wall of steel. Ironbreakers, Longbeards, then the Warden King will go up the board as your Iron Drakes and Gyro Bombers bomb everything out of sight, with your Cogsmith and Runelord being support pieces. I love how old school dwarves feel and play, and while Greywater Fastness focuses on the range, you could dive into that more into a 2k point list by maybe adding steam tanks if you wanted to go outside of the dwarf synergy. And lastly, we have the Dark Elf list for Cities of Sigmar. The sub-faction Misthaven is all about movement shenanigans and moving your pieces in and out of convenient places for your enemy. You'll have 2 Fleet Masters leading 2 Black Ark Corsairs. They'll be the bulk of your objective holders, while you have War Hydras be absolute menaces, regenerating up to 5 wounds per turn, and your Chariot and Dark Riders from the Doomfire Warlock box to be harassment units, very fast moving and a nuisance for your opponent. I will say, this list and the Duradin list have a lot of alternate builds, so if you want to shift into different playstyles or go for different builds or abilities, feel free to dive into that. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this giant-sized Cities of Sigmar Starting Sigmar. We here at Swolehammer were very excited for Cities of Sigmar, and I'm glad that we could try and deliver for you guys. But Starting Sigmar is not over yet for 3rd edition, as we have Flesh Eater Courts coming up hopefully sometime in the near future, and the newly unveiled Iron Jaws Battletome supplement, so we might have to revisit them sooner than we thought. Either way, this is Rafik from Swolehammer. Stay swole.